Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another Project Life Process video. So this week I'm going to be working on week 22. So I'm quite a bit behind, and that's totally fine, except for the fact that I feel like when I'm behind, I want to take less and less time to get a spread done and just get it done. So I wanted to show you where I am starting from. So I put all of my photos already in place, except for these here. I still need to cut these. I just kind of set them here to kind of give me an idea of how many spots I had left for cards. I put this down and I actually grabbed over this project, or not, this was the June kit from Studio Calico. And the kit is all about adventure, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that on week 23 when I was out of town. So I thought that would be a great one because there's a lot of cards about being outdoors, and that's definitely where I was outdoors. So instead of using a kit this time, I decided to grab over some of my Ali Edwards kits that are just leftover supplies. So I wanted to show you. When I have cards that are left over from Ali's kits, I just throw them in here. So I've got a section that says, if you can see that, hopefully you can see that. I think that's probably blurry right there. Let me lift this up a little bit. All right, so this says AE Story Kits, and then this one is her Story by the Month kit. So these are just the cards. And when I'm done with using the kit, or you know, after I've kind of worked with the kit for a couple of projects, I will just throw them in here. So you can see I have quite a few, and I just started looking through the kits, and these are the ones that kind of stuck out to me this weekend adventures, because I have several photos from what we did over the weekend. Just a quote, story facts card. I think this came in the last Stories by the Month kit that you could literally use for any week. And then this one says loving this around the house. I think this might have come from her home story kit. It's interesting. I was thinking that maybe I found these numbers from Studio Calico, and they're not all numbers actually. I've wanted to use these, but it's 1 through 3. And then it says, okay, yes, and noted. So I was thinking, originally I was like, oh, maybe I was thinking these were all numbers. And I was like, oh, maybe I could put these around on my photos and then write a little bit on this card. But there's only 3 here. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use these this time. If I will do it here, and maybe I could just write like 1, 2, 3, and I could even put like yes or noted. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't yet decided on that, so I'll just leave those out in case I end up using them. So either my journaling is just going to be a list of things around the house, or just stuff that was going on that week. I don't think it necessarily has to be around the house per se, like Tess finally getting her license doesn't necessarily, it's not around the house, but that's what's going on in our life, right? So anyway, this is where I am starting. Like the last couple, it's probably going to be really, really simple. But again, I'm just trying to get these projects done, get my stories told, and that is satisfying enough for me. So anyway, I'm just going to get started.
All right, you guys, so the first thing that I'm going to do is cut up those 3x4 photos. So you know me, you know how I like to get all of my photos in place, and really it's just nice that everything has a home before you really begin to start then, you know, writing your journaling and embellishing. I just like to have everything in its place, and you'll see that I move things around even at the end, or maybe more at the middle. I move some of these photos around, and I don't always feel like I have to have, you know, a journaling card or the story right next to the photo, but sometimes I like to do that. So you see how I will move things around to kind of accommodate that. So the next thing that I'm going to is my title card. And I've noticed that I either do my title card at the very beginning or I do it at the very end. It's like one of the last things I do. But I do prefer to just get it done, because sometimes actually I end up kind of forgetting about it because, you know, I've already maybe chosen either the photo or the card that I want to use. And so I've kind of forgotten that I never actually finished it because it almost looks a little finished over there in the corner. So I'm really happy to just be able to get that done and move on. That's one of the things that I like about those quote cards from Ali Edwards is you can just throw the dates at the bottom, assuming that the color of the cards is light enough that you'd be able to see the black ink. But I just really love that. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to work on is this 4x6 spot. You can see that I've got a 3x4 photo of my daughter Tess, and it was actually her 16th birthday this week. It was the very beginning of the week, so on Monday. And it was the holiday, so she was not able to get her driver's license. So it's definitely a story that I want to tell. But I wanted to highlight that she was turning 16. And so I grabbed over these stickers. I believe these are from American Crafts, and I think I may have gotten them somewhere like Target. Either that, or it could have just been from like Hobby Lobby or something like that. But I love that they're a little bit more sturdy. It's not like really thick like a chipboard, but it's not thin like a sticker either. So it was just this perfect combination, but I wanted them to be raised up a little bit. And I also love that, you know, using a foam sticker helps you to like even place it easier, I feel like, with stickers. So I put those little small square foam tapes on the back of that just to kind of help give it some dimension and have it pop against that photo of her. And then I'm going to do some journaling. This is more feeling-based journaling, so it's less about, I believe it is, it's less about, you know, what was going on or what she did and more about her. I could be wrong. I could have written that somewhere else, but I think that's what I ended up doing for this one. And you'll see that I just grabbed one of those random Studio Calico cards. Those are like their monthly cards that kind of show you what colors are in the kits and stuff like that. And I decided to just use it. I often do this because it's probably a card I won't end up using. So I'll just use the back of it and I'll stick my photos down. Now I wanted to make mention, you saw that I was originally putting the, you know, the photo on the right side, and then I swapped it. And that was because she's facing in. And I thought that, like, when I looked at the photo, it made me want to look right instead of look towards the journaling. So I decided to flip those so that she's actually looking towards the journaling, so it kind of draws you into the story. I hope that makes sense, but it's definitely a technique to use while designing. Definitely have your subjects facing in instead of outwards. And it's just one of those things that actually feels better also. You know, sometimes you don't know why you do it, but you do it just because it like feels better, right? So that's one of those things. All right, so you can see while I was chatting away, I did 2 more journaling cards, one about the weekend. And then I just did, I can't remember how many lines that is, maybe like 8 or something. And I just did like 1 sentence of something that happened every day. I think each line is just one thing. So it's really a really quick blurb. It's not even like 2 or 3 lines, which I like to do. So it just got like the gist of what was going on. So that was definitely more fact-based journaling. Then this story card, I wanted to tell the story about my daughter in California with her friends. So she went to California with the school. And of course, that's a lot of fun because you're going to the beach and you're going to Disneyland and you're hanging out with your friends and not your parents, right? So I feel like it's definitely like a rite of passage. So I wanted to tell that story about that, about her being gone that first week of summer. This is actually the first week of summer now that I'm thinking about it. School ended right after Memorial Day, which is fine, except for the fact that we go back to school like early in August. It's like August 20th this year. So I feel like we go back so early. I'd rather go into June and not go back to school until after Labor Day. That's my choice, but that's not how they do it in our district. Anyway, I digress. I'm getting lost here. So I wanted to show you what I ended up doing with that list journaling. So on that list journaling, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a bubble and then there's a line that you can write on. So You saw that I was talking about maybe writing in 1, 2, 3 when I thought that those little tabs had number, you know, like 5 or 6 numbers on them. So what I ended up doing is I found this stamp set, and I believe this came from one of Studio Calico's kits from a while ago. And it's got these really small Monday through Sunday, and then it had words like yes and maybe no or rad or love, this, those types of words that like I tend to use all the time in my project life. And I thought, you know what, they're small enough that they will fit in those circles. There's maybe a couple of them that went out of the circle, which is fine. So I chose maybe a couple days, like maybe I did a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday or something like that. And then I did other words like love and this and yes. And I stamped it with the Sunny Day yellow ink. So it's kind of hard to see in the video, obviously, because it's far away, but you can actually see it pretty well. It does not, like, I was thinking that that yellow wouldn't stand out, and so that's kind of why I tested it out. But I thought the yellow looked really well, worked really well, and I liked that it kind of popped off the page because, you know, the story and that Story Facts cards was yellow. Then we've got the gold, and then we've got that yes tab that I'm going to end up using. I just felt like the yellow would really help it to pop. So that's one of the reasons why I chose that as well. All right, so I'm just finishing up the little details. I was just writing in California right there for the location. And then I'm using the staple to add on these tabs, one that said noted and one that said yes. There was another one that said okay, but for whatever reason, okay just sounds like it's okay and not very exciting. So there wasn't a photo that I felt like I wanted to use that on. So I just decided to leave that off. And then I end up using that blue flag. You'll see me put it on. It's a chipboard piece that came from Ali Edwards. So that kind of has the same feel. So I felt that that was sufficient to feel like I kind of had 3 of those elements in there. So right now what you're seeing me do is I saw this photo of my daughters, realizing, you know, there's a story here that I want to tell that I do not have space for. And I could have actually taken out that quote card and written down another story. Maybe that's what I should have done, but I just went ahead and wrote it on the back. That way, at least it's out of my head and on the photo so that I won't forget. And I do that enough that I think in the future, I'll actually think to look on the back of some of these photos. However, I'm feeling like I need to have like a little sign or something for myself, maybe a little arrow or something in the corner to remind myself that there's another story on the back side. Anyway, you guys, that is it for me with week 22. Thank you so much for being here. If you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up, and we will catch you in the next one, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.